What's going on, everybody? Christian Hernandez here with SVG. Super Bowl 57 is just a few days away. Very busy person I'm speaking with today. He's the Vice President of Content and Production for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a good friend, Robert Alberino. Rob, how's it going, man? How's AZ treating you so far?
You know what? The sun is shining and we're still playing football. I'll tell you what, and it was funny. A buddy reached out to me and said, it's February and you're still working. I'm like, that's 4 more quarters, baby. 4 more.
I know you're going to probably feel in the offseason because downtime will be a little bit shorter, but it'll always be sweeter if champagne is popped and a ring's on your finger. But we'll get to that in a little bit. We're here to talk about digital and social content from the KC Chiefs. Just talk about your overall content strategy, who you're working with, and kind of how the sausage gets made behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's actually a great word too, strategy. I think one of the things that probably goes undetected is a lot of this stuff is planned. You don't want to jinx yourself as you're moving into the postseason, but a lot of this stuff is planned in October, November, when you feel like you're starting to get that ebb and that flow and that team is moving where it should be, and change the logo on any helmet. This should be the case. You start to plan, you start to strategize, and that strategy includes an entire group of people. Our marketing group, which is about 60 plus strong, everything from copywriters to directors, everything from literally flag football folks to our CMO. And we really strategize. We break out what we want to deliver to the fan, how we want to deliver things to the fan. And I often look at this as a buffet. When you go to a buffet, if they just had steak and potatoes or they just had dessert, you'd be kind of upset. You want something for everybody, right? You want soup, you want salad, you want small things, you want this, you want everything across the board. By the way, the best buffet in the world is at the Wynn in Las Vegas. that would be my content buffet. But the idea of just delivering it across all platforms for very specific people, not putting the same thing on every single platform. Our strategy is deep, and we have extreme role clarity at our group, and we're like, look, this is what you're working on, this is what you're working on, and as we go through the week, it's manifesting itself, and it's a beautiful thing. So we're preparing for lots of things are being cooked right now.
Right, it's all about diversifying the content and giving people variety, whether that's long form, whether that's short form. Speaking of that, can you give us a little bit of examples of content that have been released throughout the week? And I don't want to give any spoilers because I know the weekend, either Friday, Saturday, and especially before the game on Sunday, that's kind of when the killer pieces come out. So you don't have to talk about that. But I guess, what are some things that you're working on and are already released that fans in Kansas City and Chiefs fans around the world are kind of digesting before the game?
Yeah, great question. So we just released our biggest long form piece this week, and it's just been dominating. It's a show called The Franchise. If you're a fan or not a fan, honestly, you should click on it and check it out. The Franchise is basically our Hard Knocks. So that's the beefiest piece that we do, and we also have a 30-minute show called Hy-Vee Chiefs Insider, and that's sort of a magazine show. But for the very specialty things, we've actually employed some people out here to help us as everything from literally capturing us landing in our own world as opposed to a very newsy world. We shoot with very specific cameras and very specific settings. We are covering just everything. Like, I'll give you a great example. Tonight, we will be going to the NFL media night, and we are going to have Players Wired. We are going to maybe have a little bit of a piece where we mess around with, we're going to go mess around with some beat writers or some national writers. We're also going to have other guys wired taking us through the process from an emotional standpoint. So we're trying to balance comedy and storytelling. We've got, I wish I could tip you off on exactly what's happening, but we have a collaboration with a top flight musician that should come out on Thursday or Friday. I've actually been working on it all morning, and I'm hoping that comes to fruition before we kick off the ball, because I think it'll be beyond dynamite. Somebody we've never worked with before, and we are hoping to kind of shock the world with some cool stuff. I think what people don't really know is that as we put out our content, KC is a very cool place. People typically fly over it and don't know, but it's actually a really cool sort of metro hip place, and we're finding that a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork and are loving our stuff and want to be a part of it. So it's been wild. We got some good stuff coming out. A lot of short form stuff, a lot of digital social stuff, but it'll be dynamite.
All right, if you're watching this on Thursday, head over to the social channels of the Chiefs and see if it's out. But that's in the business, that's what we call a tease. So good way to tease that one,
That's right.
Rob.
Yeah. We're talking
Awesome.
early. We're talking early, but we'll project to the future.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so you mentioned the people that you're working with, or just kind of the strategization that you guys have to kind of come up with these projects. And you mentioned cameras. Any kind of, I guess, talk about the technology that you're using. So the cameras that you're using, I guess, edit system, the kind of nitty gritty tech stuff that makes stuff get out to social that fans are able to absorb.
Our rifle of choice is the Amiras, right?
Yeah.
I believe currently we have 5 or 6 of them. We just bought another one for our special projects as we move into Germany and Mexico and do a lot of work in Germany and Mexico. And so that is sort of our key piece. Everybody's on Adobe. It's funny. I've worked on every single platform, and it really feels like Adobe's the most flexible. We got kids coming out of college who are just dynamite on it. And so that's been really amazing for us. And we have a lot of small format cameras. Plus we have a pretty good contingent of photogs. I think we have 6 out here right now. We have 1 full-time photog, Steve Sanders, who's been with us. Actually, I hired him back my first stint here with the Chiefs. So his team's grinding. So our photojournalism will be amazing. And then, everything that we cover, we try to make it have a very, very specific feel to what we are doing. When you watch something, we want you to know that it comes from 65 Toss Power Trap Productions, which is 65 TPT. That's our moniker. The Amir is probably the bedrock of everything that we do. We do a lot of things on prime lenses, specifically interviews. But there's also a lot of run and gun that's happening. We'll do a lot of practices. So we'll be shooting with some sports lenses. I think we might have moved 4 truckloads worth of gear from Kansas City. I can't even imagine what the excess baggage rate would have been if we didn't have trucks. So,
right.
Actually on my social, I did a little walk by of all of our gear outside of our studio. It was yards and yards of cases. So it was pretty crazy.
Now talk about is it kind of a split squad mentality where you have people in Kansas City and have some people in Phoenix, or is everyone going to be in Phoenix? Kind of what's the dichotomy between sending content back to KC to be edited, or is everything being done on site in Arizona?
That's a great question. There's only a handful of folks who are back at in KC, Christian. We had our game day people. They're staying back because they're creating things that are going to run in the game. Right. But we pretty much took everyone, and even our seasonals what I call our associate producers. They'll be here on Thursday. But we took about 19 people with us, maybe a few more if I'm counting correctly. We have a full. So I'm staying at a hotel, obviously in Arizona. Downstairs, we're at the team hotel. Downstairs, we have a full production room, and the room is just butts to butts all the way around. We've got edit stations. We shipped monitors here. I think we have 10 edit stations. We have a full room just for all of our gear. So it's completely laid out. Our physical like ENG gear that so we can grab a camera, grab audio packs and run for it. We might be the biggest production agency in Arizona right now. I'm telling you, it's amazing that the 65 TPT setup we have. But yeah, the other team will join us on Thursday. Okay. So maybe there's 8 people back home, and then plus 20 on the ground here.
Okay, sounds good. I guess the next question for you, it's more than just Rob Alberino. There's more people to this team that gets this job done. Can you give a shout out to key team members of the entire team and the work that they're doing so far?
I don't know how much time we have, so I'll try to keep it tight. But I pride myself on we. We are always we. We had a joke. It's not 65 me PT. It's 65 we PT. We always joke about that. But you will notice in posts that the team puts out, in my crew, in posts that I put out, I use the word we and us all the time, and it doesn't get done. You look at from the social digital team, our lead, Alex, is incredible. Alex Mary, Gabby Timon, they're working on things. But then you got guys behind the scenes. You've got people who are running the websites, people who are pushing data in social. From my team, Glenn Connolly, who's my director of production, he's in charge of our group. Joe Helder, who I actually stole from the Eagles, who will be playing his old team, who won a ring with that team. He's my director of production for special projects, anything that goes international, basically military, things like that. but all the guys and girls underneath them, just absolutely incredible. Again, mentioned Steve Sanders, can't live without him. Matt McMullen, Mitch Holtis, those are the two voices of our team. Just absolutely incredible. And then there's people who do things that you don't even know what they're doing. You know, Brad Young is in charge of all my game day stuff, and his team's just grinding. You might have saw Anna Tobkin put out a tweet the other day where she's our director. We have a female director, which is amazing for our game. She just kicks its butt. And Steph Judah, who's in charge of all of our entertainment teams. We've got cheerleaders on the ground, Casey Wolf, flag runners. It's just, I mean, it is a village, and our marketing team does a really, really nice job of keeping that village alive. I've probably hired 4 or 5 people since I arrived here. And they've been absolutely fabulous, but I inherited an amazing team. And I think that's one of the reasons I came back to Kansas City. I was with the 49ers prior, and I came back to KC. The group that I inherited, I wish I could take credit for hiring all these folks. But it has been amazing. When I looked at that group from afar and I was offered the gig, I'm like, absolutely. You know, because there wasn't a lot of changeover. The only people who are not here have left to go on to do better things. And I think we maybe only lost 1 or 2. So I think it's a good nod to the organization for structure and culture, but also they hired great people.
It says a lot about the team chemistry and keeping everyone in-house to do a great job. The question that I want to ask before we leave, we joked around before the recording, but you had your start with the Eagles. You kind of are a Philly guy. You got your start in Philly and kind of worked your way up. You're caught between a rock and a hard place. Alberino, you want to win your first ring, but you're also your second favorite team is the Eagles. Well, just tell me your thoughts on Sunday. How conflicted are you, and how excited are you? Just tell me what's going through your head.
Well, first, the 12-year-old in me wants to jump out of his skin, because here I am, just so blessed to be sitting in a hotel room talking to awesome people about being at a Super Bowl. So, you know, I've worked with a lot of amazing people in the NFL. This is almost my 30th year, and I've worked with people who've gone to 3 playoff games and lost all of them. It's a true story. And so this is, I think, last week against the Bengals was my 18th playoff win in 30 games. I've been to 9 championship games. I've never reached the mountaintop, although I've been there twice. So 3rd time's the charm. And I lost to the Patriots when I was with the Eagles. And that was probably the most heartbreaking, because we had worked so hard to get there. So a couple of things. One is, yes, my whole family's against me. That's kind of awful, except for my wife, my son, and my daughters. They're in my camp. My mother, absolutely in my camp, but everybody else is Eagles fans. They now transitioned over because they know that I'll be a basket case. But it's amazing. I mean, you know, it is a game, and it's not the end of my story if we don't win, but man, it's the beginning of a new one if we do. And it's just an incredible opportunity. I was in this same situation 3 years ago when I was with the 49ers. I was beaten by my Chiefs, and people always ask, how does it feel to lose the Super Bowl against your team? I'm like, my team won the Super Bowl in that game. All the people that I love won. So now I get to win with them if that's the case. And, you know, you try to keep your eye on the prize, you try to focus, and I try to keep myself really busy. So like having an interview with you is the best thing in the world, because if not, I'm sitting here staring at like Sunday's coming. So, but no, it's wonderful, man. I would not want to be anywhere else, and the adrenaline's pumping. So it's great.
I'm glad I can be a helpful distraction in your week.
I love it. We can just go for another hour. Right.
Exactly. You've had a storied career, and hopefully you can add another chapter, another feather to your cap. Rob, I really appreciate the time and your support of SUG #1. Hope to see you out there. I'm sure I will. I will be there, and I hope to see you. And good luck on Sunday. Don't let the nerves get the best of you, and continue the great work. You guys do awesome work. So thanks for the time, Rob.
Thank you. And I know that you're hunkered down with your beautiful wife, who's an Eagles fan. Listen, it's time for you to have a house divided. So when I see you, we'll get some gear on you. I hope it doesn't cause any rifts in the house, but I think you're a big Giants fan. So if somehow, some way, when you talk to Eric Long, who's my peer at the Eagles, give him a little bit of, give him a little nudge, even though I love those guys. You give him a little nudge and say that you might have some red and yellow in your heart.
Will do, Rob. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for the time.
All right. Thank you.